What's going on, ParaTruthers? Welcome to a brand new episode of ParaTruth Reborn. This is a pre recorded show on 107.7 FM New Orleans, 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast, and United Public Radio Network. My name is Justin.
And I'm Eric.
And what if your favorite cartoon has been showing you the future all along? Today, we are bringing on the beautiful, talented Michelle from the Outer Realms. Michelle, welcome to ParaTruth Reborn.
Well, thank you for the incredible intro. I'll take that. Thank you for having me. It sounds going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so this is our 5th episode on UPRN, so it's a milestone episode for us too. So what better way to do it than to bring our manager on?
For all who don't know. Yeah. No, I'm honored to be here with you guys. Thank you. Thank you. I think it's great. Here's to another get you over to 100.
So for those of you that don't know The Simpsons, you might have been living under a rock, but The Simpsons is a show that was created by Matt Groening. He's had writers from Harvard and science backgrounds. It first debuted December 17th, 1989, and has had over 30 seasons. 30 seasons, which baffles my mind because, I mean, you look at other shows like, I know it's a very niche cliche type of show, but Beavis and Butthead. There's been several MTV cartoons that did not go very long, but you have The Simpsons, you have the Family Guy that's been going for a very long time. You have Futurama that, Michelle, before we got on, you mentioned, and that went for a very long time, and they've continued it on Netflix. Netflix bought it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very odd for a cartoon to be going as long as this one has. But it's known for its satire, political commentary, and pop culture parody. Now, you guys have probably noticed it a lot. I've noticed it several times over the years, and even my wife, Shelly, has made comments about how often they've brought up things that we've seen come to pass over the past several years. Before we get into, what they've predicted or whatever, have you guys ever noticed that?
For sure. I mean, I personally have not something didn't happen. I was like, oh, wait, The Simpsons, they did that. It's something online. So there's always somebody out there who's like, oh my gosh, check this out. And they show you a video, right? A clip of The Simpsons or some other cartoon that had predicted the current events of today's world, which is crazy to me, right? Because it's not something that you should be able to do, especially as accurately as they have. But yeah, it's probably been like 8 times now that I recall in which something has happened over the last 15 years. The Simpsons has predicted, and it's kind of eerie now at this point,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be the odd man out and say I'm probably like a bigger nerd because I actually don't know. But I didn't always follow The Simpsons. I did not clue into the conspiracy thing, and busy life, right? So I never really got deep into it. And then all of a sudden, probably a decade ago, a friend of mine says, God, the Simpsons just predictive thing. Who watches that still? Like, I really didn't think it was actually still a thing. Your kids grow up and you figure, okay, enough, nobody's watching it. But it's like a bloody cult. Like,
it is.
Right? It has a whole cult following. And I started looking into this going, like, this is actually a thing that Lisa Simpson is like firing off prophecies and predictions and they're happening.
Mhm.
And then it caught my attention. Like, it's an anomaly, like you say, Justin, the fact that it's still going on, but the fact that there's actually something deeper behind it, I found like to be completely fascinating because I do love the obscure, and that's pretty much as as obscure as you're going to get when it comes to cartoons, without a doubt. But
Right.
yeah, I'm the nerd that went, nobody watches that crap anymore. Oh, wait, it's not crap. It's actually something pretty amazing. So here we are.
So there's been way more than what we have on this list here, but there have been several episodes that have really been noted to have predicted the future. The more recent was the first Donald Trump presidency, and that was Bart to the Future, and that aired in 2000. And he didn't actually take it. Was it 2016 he took presidency, Eric?
Yeah.
So that was his first run, and the Simpsons predicted it.
Yeah, 16 years early, which is, again, it's one of those things, like, is it really a prediction, or is it just like you know that he had said at one point, Trump did early on in his career, that he was one day going to be president of the United States, and then the Simpsons ran with that, not maybe necessarily realizing that he was actually going to go for it and would succeed. Whether or not that's actually a prediction or just simply, something that coincides with what Trump was already working on, that's the big question. But nonetheless, it does seem like it's a prophecy, no less.
Right.
I actually read at one point that one, I think they had 3 episodes that actually got debunked, and that was one of them.
Really?
But I always say, I always go back to time traveler Trump, because his uncle had access to like Tesla stuff. I'm like, that's how we knew. He just called it and did it, so sorry, Simpsons, but I think time traveler Trump was ahead of that on that one. But, but yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting,
Well, the one fascinating thing I found that I've seen recently is that his mother was quoted saying, "I hope he never goes into politics." And here we are in this day and age, and he's now on his second term of presidency.
It's because kids always do what their parents tell them not to do.
Right.
So why would he be any different?
I'm one of them, so
yeah, see? Yeah, it was terrible. So
some of this might be stretching a little bit too, but 9/11 foreshadowing, City of New York versus Homer Simpson in 1997. And some of these episodes, I probably wouldn't recognize them unless I actually watched them. Disney buying Fox in 1998. Smartwatches, Lisa's Wedding, 1995. Higgs-boson equation, 1998. Siegfried and Roy Tiger Attack, 1993. I vaguely remember that one.
I remember that one, and I don't watch them. So, yeah, that was pretty good.
COVID-19 and Murder Hornets, Marge and Chains, 1993. The FIFA corruption and World Cup outcome, 2014. Oh, and we're joined by another gentleman that should have been on earlier.
My apologies.
Calling you out on that.
How's it going, everyone?
Oh, good.
Fantastic. So we're going over some of the episodes that the Simpsons have predicted stuff. So we've got Donald Trump's presidency. We've got 9/11 foreshadowing. Disney buying Fox. Smartwatches. Higgs-boson equation. And if I'm being 100% honest, I have no clue what the Higgs-boson equation is, so I should have looked that up beforehand.
It's the God particle, basically.
Oh, okay.
What they call that, anyway.
Okay. The Siegfried and Roy Tiger Attack. COVID-19 and Murder Hornets. The FIFA corruption and World Cup outcome. Autocorrect technology. That episode aired 1994. And then virtual reality and farm-to-table food craze. Now, the virtual reality thing, yes, that might be a prediction, but that's been going on for a very long time. I mean, if you look at Star Trek, even they were predicting a a holographic virtual reality
Yeah.
where you
Artificial
would actually
reality.
be participating in it.
Yep.
Right. Well, same with the smartwatches too. I mean, there were plenty of much pop culture and media that was already on the smartwatch kick, believing that we would have some sort of watches in the future. One movie in particular, one of my favorites, is Dick Tracy.
I was just going to say Dick
in
Tracy.
a way, had a smartwatch. And I don't know if that was so much, if these are so much predictions in those cases, but just commentary on where the future was already heading at that time. We knew it was going to happen, and they just played with it.
Yeah,
For
It's
sure.
funny you mentioned Dick Tracy. I'm like, yeah, Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Uh-huh.
For sure.
100%.
Right? Shows you where like my mentality was.
What the cartoon theme is.
I know. It's a curiosity for me. I'm always I try to be logical. It's like, okay, there's so many conspiracies that go on, saying, oh, it's because the guy who wrote the whole series essentially is a Freemason. Nothing tangible that says he is, but it looks good. Throw a good conspiracy in there just to add a little bit of meat to the bone. But with my logic side of things, it's kind of like, okay, some of it could be lucky, but they're pretty good right down to the details. But it makes you wonder, where is it coming from? Like, is it something that, is there somebody there that basically brings some of this stuff to fruition and just times it right? I mean, I suppose if you have the connections and the money, you can get away with something like that. It creates a cult following, and it sure does bring good publicity to the series. But that's my logic. Beyond that, don't ask me how it gets all accomplished, but it sounds good. It looks good on paper.
There's also some, you also have to consider that there's an entire room of writers, and they may get a basic topic to write on. It's like, okay, I want to tackle this, and and they'll outline things, and they'll go through the process of writing these things up.
Yeah.
Whether it's the funny thing is about most of these predictions is there's kind of, if I remember correctly, usually they're kind of B plots, versus the A plot, like Lisa's arc or Bart's arc in a given story. So they're kind of in the background, and I was like, wouldn't it be funny if this was the circumstance? That kind of thing.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Well, and we've talked about it on our show throughout the entire time we've been doing this is it us talking it into existence? Like
a tulpa?
I was going to say, like a tulpa thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Could be. I mean, humans are pretty powerful, especially if they focus on one thing.
Right.
I think, it's I think it's a really likely thing.
Yeah,
I always go back to Santa Claus. I mean, the Coca-Cola Santa Claus from the what was it, the 50s or 60s?
Right.
We're not even talking something ancient, like some ancient Krampus being, like it's just we're talking the Coca-Cola Santa Claus has become a thing to the point where there have been sightings of this jolly man in the red suit, not so jolly if he catches you up. I mean, people have had horrific experiences with him. And it's so much a thing that there are paranormal researchers who do nothing but research Santa Claus.
Right.
So where does that come from? Is it the same idea? Like, you have enough of a cult following and you see something. Who's to say all of these millions of people focusing on one thing can't bring that into fruition?
Right. Well, even with as short, like you consider the length of an episode of The Simpsons, this is a collective mind that is watching this show and they're, thinking 9/11, they're thinking the Trump presidency. But it's for such a short period of time. And then after that, they probably don't think much of it until it happens. And now there's even more being fed into it,
That's a fair point. There's a half hour of kind of, you're eating your dinner as you're watching the show, There's not a lot of focus there. It's not like you're in the position waiting to.
Yeah. Yeah.
enact and give power to whatever the Simpsons come up with. So that's a very good point.
Yeah.
I imagine, as the saying has, longevity. So over time, is it possible? So let me get my tinfoil hat on. Is it possible that connections were made, connections to certain organizations or circles who doesn't at some point say, hey, this is going to be a thing, or but I mean, it's obscure in the way where, the presidential election, for example, I think what was the show like in 2000 or something. And then 2015, Trump gets elected. So you got like 15 years. So, but I don't know. I think as the show keeps going, and becomes more popular, you have people who say, maybe just throwing ideas over there.
Just seeing what sticks to the wall kind of a thing.
Why
You can
not?
also go if you want to go super conspiratorial or even just more conspiratorial.
Yeah.
You could say this is predictive programming. It's like, okay, we have to tell the public what's coming up, and we're going to do it with the Simpsons of all things.
Of all things. All the world's a stage. Everything's
for
hidden
sure.
in plain sight.
Well, and that's funny you bring that up, Tim, because that's one of the explanations we came across is predictive programming.
Yeah.
Media conditions the public for future events. You also have, just coincidence versus clever writing. They've been going for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
So probability of accuracy, is it going to be 100%? Maybe not, but they're going to hit it right every once in a while.
Right. Yeah. I agree with that. That's I threw predictive programming out there because it's not just the Simpsons that has been said about.
Right.
I mean, going all the way back to the original series of Star Trek, they were saying, look out. I mean, that's probably one of the other shows that you can take a look at, and we have proof. It's like, see, they were talking on a device that they held in their hand, and then we have not too much later, we had flip phones that performed that exact same thing.
Right.
But Star Trek was sort of brought in by like government too, right? With Roddenberry basically saying
Roddenberry had some interesting connections. Yes.
I know with the Council of Nine.
Yeah. Well, he was also, it was interesting. He was with, who's the guy he always hung out with? I want to say it's another Barry, like Bradbury or something like that. That they were, I'm blanking on the other guy's name, but they would always see the same like spiritualist or medium or something like that, and they'd hang out. And that's where the initial seed idea for Deep Space Nine came from, because there was the Council of Nine that got mentioned.
Yes, but there was an agenda behind that one. So is there an agenda behind The Simpsons?
It's
good
possibility.
Yeah. I mean, it's entirely possible. I mean, when did the predictions start popping up in their episodic timeline versus when it started coming true? Do we have an answer to that?
The earliest was 1993 that we came across for episodes that, I mean, like I said at the beginning, there's probably tons more episodes that have predicted maybe some minor things compared to the big things that we're seeing here. Mm-hmm. But
well, I asked that because it seems there was a dynamic shift once they hit their 200th episode. So that was season 20? Or no, it was earlier. Once they hit their 200th episode, there was a shift in the writing. It was noticeable too. I mean, right from the episode after that.
The different writers.
Very different writers, or different or those influencing the writers changed, or either the creator came in and said, we're doing this, that, and the other now. Right. Because I got a big bag of money from the intelligence guys, and they said, do this. Which has been another accusation that's been floated, not just for The Simpsons, but other shows, especially sci-fi shows. Yeah. Leading, it's like, here's what I want you to talk about.
Right.
But that would make sense.
Yeah.
It would.
That's when the shift would happen. I think it was around 93 that 200th episode aired, or whatever it was.
Yeah, because we're in 30 plus years now of it being going on.
Yeah.
It was the finale of their 10th season. That's what it was. So I think 93 makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, and it looks like some of these look to be roughly about 15-year progress between when the episodes appeared and when these events actually happened as well. You can consider COVID-19 and the Murder Hornets, that episode appeared in 1993. Then you considered the Trump presidency. That was year 2000, so there's another rough 15 years. But not all of them are like that. Disney buying Fox was 1998. I guess that was kind of close to 15 as well. 9/11.
Disney bought Fox, huh? Gosh, I missed that.
The 9/11 foreshadowing that happened in 1997, so that was only 4 years prior to those events happening. So it does look like there's roughly a 15-year gap between when these episodes air and when the events take place in most cases. And then some of these other ones are much shorter or longer, depending on the timeline, I guess, and just how they wrote them and when they wrote them. I do want to say that one thing that to consider. It's hard to explain like the 9/11 foreshadowing or COVID-19 even. However, you do have to consider that writers, primarily in Hollywood, they're not just sitting there coming up with things off the top of their mind. They are constantly researching, reading, going through various sources to learn about the culture that the world is currently facing and what they're doing. And then they're going to take that, use it in their writing. And so some of these things can very well easily be predicted just based on the research that they're doing. And in that case, it's not really so much a prediction. It's just like, these are the events that are leading up to this particular whatever.
Well, yeah, you can easily scenario-wise something. It's like, if this, then that. It really is that simple, and you can build a plot off that. Another foreshadowing on the Twin Towers thing was the show The Lone Gunman. Their first episode, if I remember correctly, was them diverting a plane at the last second that was taken over and was going to run into the Twin Towers. And it got diverted at the last possible moment. So they saved the day in the show. But a lot of people, as soon as the Twin Towers got hit, just started looking at that show first because it was in more recent memory. And then they started...
But at the same time, you consider like that particular event. I mean, there was a plane on 9/11 that did get hijacked and then was taken over and crash landed in Pennsylvania. So that event did still happen, which is still kind of pretty wild.
Yeah.
So is it just people who, watch The Simpsons who go and like emulate some of this stuff?
That's a good idea. We should do that in 10, 15 years.
Millions out of the millions of people or billion people who may watch Simpson. You're telling me that there's not maybe 1% or 0.1% that could afford to pull something off? Just like that.
For sure. And we have enough people who've got the money to pull that off. I mean, it's been documented across the world so that has happened in the past and is even happening to one degree or another now. There's also the I had another point. Okay, I'll stop there. Go ahead. Someone else go.
Well, it's like kind of what we're going through, like as a worldwide community. You look at certain books that were written. Maybe like in 1984, all of a sudden things start happening. It's just certain things happen. All of a sudden, it's like, hey, that's a great idea. Certain movies that have taken place. Oh, hey, did you notice what's going on right now is in this movie? But it's just saying. Just saying.
Yeah, no, it's interesting you mentioned that because I, as a writer, I wrote a script that I have not put out really, except to a writer's group that I work with, and we just go through each other's stuff and say, hey, I like this, I don't like this, yada, yada, yada. In this one script, it was a sci-fi, and it was set 25 years from roughly nowish. And there's something called the NATO nation, and it's basically all the old Eastern Bloc nations have collapsed to one degree or another because of Russian aggression. And I wrote this 2, 3, 4 years ago. So NATO went in and kind of took over to kind of stabilize the region, and the idea was to give it back, but there wasn't enough cooperation or anything else like that to really give and you give it to anyone. At the same time, Russia, because it was throwing all the stuff at this at their old Eastern Bloc, trying to kind of take it back over, they lost a lot of resources. So they had to couple with China and became one country, Russo-China. So that's just in my story. So it's interesting. And like I said, I wrote that like 4 years ago.
So is it like a collective consciousness thing? It's just,
Could be.
things get put into the collective consciousness by the masses of people, like we say, like the Topa effect, but maybe it's just so much as a thought. I have tested this theory with the collective consciousness, right? Where I've used really obscure words. Like one of them was like swell, because nobody says swell anymore, right? So like swell, it's swell. All of a sudden I started seeing and hearing swell. I'm like, come on.
Well, see, and so here's the thing though with that too, because something very similar happens when, say, you're looking to buy a new car. You don't see this car anywhere on the road, but as soon as it piques your interest, it's just showing up everywhere. And so is it really collective conscious, or is it that you're suddenly becoming aware of these cars because your mind is focused on it? Same with the word swell, because you use that word.
Yep.
Is it just that you became focused and started noticing it, even though it's probably been used God knows how many times around
Who
you.
knows? Yeah, because I'm expecting it. I am waiting for it. But it's like hearing a song. It's like, oh, a song I haven't heard in a long time is this song. And all of a sudden you hear the song.
Right.
And not only do you hear it once, but then you know how they recycle the song after 12 hours?
Oh,
it comes back. It's like...
Oh, yeah. I mean, and that's happened to me a lot, where it's like a song will play on the radio and I'll predict in my mind what the next song is just because I want to hear it. And then it plays. And it's like, wait a second.
See? So I don't know. Is that what we're looking at? This whole thing? Are we in a matrix? Are we in a matrix?
Well, that's another. It's simulation theory, time travel. Is it glitches in the matrix, or is there somebody feeding info from the future? And Michelle, you've already brought that up. And I've heard a lot of this, glitch in the matrix, time travel stuff, a lot, and I'm working on getting somebody on to talk about simulation theory, because still I don't fully understand it 100%. But I've said it multiple times on this show. In a sense, we are in a simulation. We're a non-corporeal being stuck in a physical body, and it's technically our avatar. So, but that would be kind of different. In this sense, talking about simulation theory here, glitches in the matrix. Again, is it something that it's reality, or is it just years and years ago, Matrix came out, and then people started seeing similarities in their reality to what the Matrix was hinting at.
Yeah.
There's a lot with that. I've done shows on Matrix and that whole sort of thing. It's so deep. It's so deep. Elon Musk said, "We're all living in a video game." Like, I'm with Elon. Crazy stuff does not just happen. There's got to be something to it. But yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like I said, things are hidden in plain sight. Look at the movie Avatar. You just kind of look at it, but I mean, really look at it. When I first saw The Matrix, I never really gave it another thought. And then I had somebody say, but have you really, really watched it? Now that you've seen it, watch it again, but really pay attention. So I did. And when, because I've done a show on it a couple of times. I just recently did one on my own show, but on other people's shows, we've done this. And so did a lot of research on it, and it was just like, jeepers, like it runs so deep. It wouldn't surprise me that even, the people behind the Simpsons did not have some kind of a somebody, giving them the information, or is, if we are in a matrix, it's all there. It's all written out and it's all put in front of you. It's just, we're led to think, no, we're just looking at a cartoon, or we're just looking at a movie. But when you start to think about it, you realize, like, man, we are left clues in everything. Because if you get onto, I'm just going to, again, go like all out there. I'm gonna mind blow myself, but there's a lot of secret societies out there, and they do things. They have to publicly put it out there. That's the karma. That's where you avoid the karma. That's the rule, is you have to put it out to the public. You cannot hide it. So how do you do it? You put it in a way where it looks like it's a production, or it's a film, or look at me, I'm on stage doing this whole theatrical thing. Meanwhile, you're doing a ritual. So you know what I'm saying? So things are put out in film. There have been symbolisms. There have been many things put out there for we, the people who don't really need to be made privy to what's really happening. But we look at this and we say, oh, wow, that's a cool cartoon. Look at these predictions. And, but we don't know that it's not all part of this hidden in plain sight, having to put it out there. We just don't know what we're really looking at.
Right.
Well,
no, you're absolutely on the nose there. I think. I think there is something to that. There's, well, and then there's the other side of that, which was my experience. Like 4 years ago, I took a shot at the tea leaves I saw, so to speak, where this whole Russo-China thing happening, and the entire old Eastern Bloc is now under NATO control. So was I fed that somehow? Possibly. It just popped into my head, and I wrote it down. That's how it happened. I didn't even really research it. It's just just what it
there
happened.
It was. Yeah.
And there it was. Yeah.
Well,
So
as much has gone down in the past several years, I'd say since 2020 and COVID hitting, it's almost felt like we're in a video game or a TV show or something that people are just writing the script, and it just gets weirder and weirder.
Starting to feel like Truman, are you? Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
My next question is, how the heck do I escape this so I can move on?
Well,
That's a good question.
I've seen these guys that they actually have codes. You focus on codes like numbers, strings and numbers. And it's like 115178. I'm making that up. I don't know if that's it, but you keep repeating that, and you will exit the matrix. So they say.
Yeah.
And they claim that's from redacted or from Freedom of Information Act documents from the CIA.
Right. I forget what the Grabavoy numbers or I can't remember which ones they are, but yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Because they say there's all these cheat codes that you can do to reformat your body, reformat your reality.
Right.
I mean, that's also that's also the case in like spiritualism right now. The whole idea of ascending into a fifth dimension, it's doing the same thing, just using a different route or a different technique to do so. And there's been a number of different people that we've had on recently who've talked about how to do that or how one would go about doing that. But I've also met people outside of the podcast who I've happened to run into and have these conversations with, and they're on a whole different level of how to ascend. And it's really the same thing as exiting this current place that we're all in, they're all stuck in. Because let's face it, like the past since 2020, everything's been more or less a nightmare, right? A bit of a horror show.
So what do we shift? We do a shift in a different timeline. What is that?
It's something. But then even if we were able to shift back or shift to a different timeline, like that also brings into question the Mandela effect, which we've all, I'm sure, talked about numerous times.
Oh yeah,
that would make sense to this idea of timeline changes or ascension or the Matrix finding different ways in other realms of the Matrix, if you will.
But some people are very conscious of shifting. Look at there was a woman. Who I think there's still a reward out to this day, who woke up and what was her bed. Everything looked different. She was wearing different pajamas than what she went to bed with. She thought, this is strange. She went to work. Building was the same. Everything was different. And you're only talking like from nighttime, like previous day of work to the next. And she was engaged to a man for 7 years. He didn't exist. And she was like a step parent sort of thing to this man's child. There was no trace. She even hired like a PI to like find these people, like, and he goes, this person doesn't exist. Like she started to realize like something is really wrong. And eventually, as she got it figured out, she put out a reward to say, anybody can get me back to my timeline. There's a reward for it. And it's been like at least a decade, maybe more.
Wow.
So that's
incredible.
That's an awareness of a major shift there.
Yeah.
So if that's, when you have somebody who's fully aware and awake and like, I know this happened and took those kind of steps. Can you imagine those of us who are still like sleepwalking through life kind of thing? How'd I get here?
It's a good point. That's a good point.
Where's Bart Simpson? Make me up a prophecy. Get me out of here.
He's the magic 8 ball of my life.
Yeah, I want out.
Now,
right?
did they determine that she was not going through like a psychosis or anything like that?
Apparently not. Yeah, apparently not. I mean, she, there wasn't any indication of that. She was like fully aware. And people, like she's in her apartment. She goes, this is not like my place. I mean, I would have to think if it were me and I had my phone, I got pictures of my whole life.
Right.
In that phone. You'd think you could look at it unless that changed too. It's like, wait a minute, it's not my wife, not my house, it's not my house. Right? Nice. Going to that song. Yeah. So
watching the days go by.
Exactly. Watch the timelines go by. I don't know, but I imagine that she would have gone through all of that testing. I don't know, if they really get that deep into it, but if you're going to put up a substantial amount of money for a reward, because, I would like to think that she did her homework enough and was assessed enough to say, no, I'm not crazy.
Right. Well, and I've texted Eric this, and in my particular circumstances, I can never pinpoint what's different.
Yeah.
But I've texted him several times over the years, and I'm like, something's off. Something's
more than several times.
It's been a different timeline, Eric. Help me. Yeah.
Are you getting this text?
A couple.
I'm suddenly left-handed. What's going on?
Help.
But how often have I said it feels like a timeline shift?
Yeah, no, almost every time.
Poor Justin. Yeah.
I just say my spidey sense is going off, or something feels off about something. But there's been only a few that I've said, have I shifted realities? Like something feels different. And I can't pinpoint.
But the weird thing about it though is like it's rarely ever different in a positive way. It's different in like what's missing, what's changed, what is like I'm feeling this overwhelming kind of light dread feeling like there's something really
sense of loss.
Yeah, with every shift I fail to be richer. It's
But do you find that you grieve? It feels like you're grieving something, like maybe you've something
for sure. I can say that. I've had that at times. It's like something is off, similar to what Justin has spoken of.
So past lives, like, are they really past lives, or are they just different timelines?
That could be too, yeah.
Missing, like, the people that you left behind that didn't come back with you. Sometimes maybe, you need to look at the afterlife process. Are we just shifting timelines?
Yeah.
There's also not a fact, but the idea that a lot of, especially the psychic I work with that's scary, JJ Rose, you may know her. All of you probably should to one degree or another. She and other psychics across the world have said that the veil is thinning. Right. The veil is thinning, it's shredding, it's tearing, it's going away. And perhaps not only is that just a spiritual veil between the mortal and the immortal, or the spiritual, but this membrane between these different timelines that, on the quantum spectrum is literally right next door.
Yeah.
So
I think everything is vibration, frequency, and I think the way technology has gone in this timeline in our lifetimes, that would easily eat away at something like that, because
That makes sense.
it just shifts the whole dynamics of the energy.
Right.
There's patents for it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. There are.
There is. Yeah, there is. There is. So I don't know.
Well, and then something else to consider in all of this is the idea of deja vu, which science claims doesn't truly exist. It's just the mind's basically the mind catching up to what the eyes are seeing. But I can't tell you how many times I've had deja vu and was able to predict exactly what happened next within 5 minutes, which I can't explain, and no one has been able to explain it to me yet. And so, what is that? Is it? Are we remembering something from the timeline? Is it a future version of us that's feeding us, this information?
What if you're living multiple timelines at the same time and having just like dimensional bleed-throughs?
Yeah, that's a fun theory. I like that idea.
Dimensional bleed-through. Yeah.
Submitted for your approval. Q Rod Serling.
Yeah. But we don't know. It's actually, I mean, like through mediumship, I could say that's a no-brainer. You can RV, you can see through like dimensionally. That's I know phenomenal RVs that can do stuff like that. But technically speaking, it would seem pretty complicated,
right?
Like.
Well, there's also that theory that the waking world and the dreaming world that you experience as an individual are those two separate lives or multiple lives.
Yeah, but do you really sleep?
I imagine one side gets one consciousness gets rest, while the other
but your
one goes
essence
off
doesn't need to sleep. Only your physical needs to sleep.
Exactly.
Like I always say, it's like sleeping in your car in the garage at night. No, we're going to do that. You're going to get out of the damn car. You're going to go out and do whatever. But I think we travel. I think we go home or we travel or do whatever when we sleep.
I mean, I think if that is the case, like when I'm sleeping, the other half of my conscious, whoever that is living a really wild and scary life, because my dreams are not always very happy. I'm like, what the hell did I just dream? Right? It's like, what are you walking in over there?
Well, Eric,
what are you drinking over there?
Because too much.
You recounted some of your dreams to me. It's like, wow.
Eric, do you remember the guest we had on when we were Night Suckers, and she was I believe she was an EMT, but then she would astral project in her dream or in her sleep time, and had come across people that she met in the astral projection in reality, or saw what had happened to them.
Yeah, I remember.
So it sounds to me like, what if that's a situation that Simpsons are able to tap into? What if they're able to tap into future timelines?
Right. Well,
or they have that thing the Vatican's supposed to have.
I don't know. Sounds great though.
TV to alternate timelines. That's great. I love that. That's fantastic.
No, but it's like the theory where George Lucas, went back in time to give his other self. Is that how it was? Or was it the other way around? Went back and say, "Here, this is going to be a hit." Right.
Remember that idea you abandoned in your freshman year?
That's the theory with Lucas, though, is that he went back in time. There was a way where he was able to go back in time and give himself the script to Star Wars. And there's stories about, these time travelers. You have that kind of money, you're going to have access to certain people, certain circles, certain information, because this apparently is just something we forget who we are, where we come from. We're just having a human experience, and we just made to forget, whether it's through conditioning or things that are put in the food, in the air, things like that. But we forget who we are. This is all stuff that we apparently are supposed to know how to do. So what if you get into a certain circle and it's like, no, here's a little something for you. And you're taught. They have this. This is a lot of the stuff that they would learn in the old ancient mystery schools and things like that. So it's not it's not out of the realm of possibilities.
Right.
And if that being the case, and let's say Lucas did it, who's to say that this creator doesn't have the same probability or possibility?
Right.
I would again put forth that in 1993 or whenever the 10-year anniversary was, is when all this started happening. So there was a shift, a change, and it was palpable from season 19 to season 20 or 10 rather. 10 to 11. I got it right that time. There was a fundamental shift in the writing, and it seemed more directed to as far as I was concerned there.
Right.
Well, there has to be an explanation for it somehow. I think we've explored all kinds. But, I mean,
Well, here's a question, and we can kind of debate this a little bit. With artificial intelligence becoming a more prevalent thing in this day and age, could it forecast the things that these writers have done with The Simpsons, or is this just modeling trends? And that's what AI kind of does when you're trying to ask it stuff. It just skims the entire internet and then is like, here's what is the probability of something, or this is the best way to do something.
Right.
Could it predict in detail
it still has to be programmed by somebody. I don't know that AI is as well. The AI we're allowed to be familiar with, I don't think is that far ahead of itself. You go and I know if you go on the X platform, you can ask Grok something and it'll tell you, I don't have enough information.
Yeah.
Right
Well,
on.
that's
See, there we go.
true. But on the flip side, though, I think it was 2 years ago, we did an episode on AI, and there actually is an article out about a particular AI program that started its own language. It created its own language that humans cannot distinguish until they started, talking to it and trying to show it pictures, and they're like, "Holy crap! It's got its own language all of a sudden." And that's something that
who said you can do this, or where did you start doing? So we didn't say we couldn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah.
Was that the Google computer that went all self-aware, or is that something else?
I think that was something different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Different. But nonetheless, it's just like, clearly, like, despite the fact that humans have to create AI to begin with and give them limitations, I think AI still has this ability to work around those limitations because they have access to way more than what humans can, especially in a much shorter time frame than what we can figure out on our own. So even just when you consider the AI that's currently working, you think of ChatGPT or any of these AI programs that are generating videos and photos, they're becoming ultra realistic just within the last year. And currently in Hollywood, there's this big issue right now where there is a management company, an agency, that is trying to hire or manage an artificial intelligent actress. It's huge right now. There are,
which is another prediction that was in a movie, and I forget her name. I think it was Her or something like that.
Yeah,
where there was a digital actress. Yeah.
It's crazy. It's just like AI just keeps growing and growing, and I think it's actually going to blow up much faster than what we're even considering. I know it's going to happen fast, but I think it's going to happen faster than what I'm even thinking.
But then you're really going to see those predictions.
Well, 100%.
Yeah, it's scary. It is frightening when you think about it, But I don't know. Is that the world that we're heading in? Question everything. I already question everything.
Yeah, I know.
Now it's going to be worse.
It's kind of our job to question everything.
Yeah, the field that we're in, 100%. I've questioned things for a very, very long time.
Right.
Yeah.
Questions just keep piling up. Eric and I have said it on the show almost every episode.
I have a question. No,
Let me ask you something.
I have a question. I think it's going to be there's going to be things out there, and this show may very well be it. One day it may come to surface and say, this is really what it was, and we're all going to go,
what?
But,
It
you
was
know,
an 8-ball the whole time.
this is brilliant. I know. I should have paid more attention in Simpsons school. But, you know, it may just be until that point, one of those things where, you know, we may never have the answers to. It may
Right.
be fluke. I mean, out of 30 years or 30 seasons,
Mhm.
you know, what's the ratio of stuff that's happened compared to what hasn't happened? It may just be like, oh, it's like 3%. You kind of go, okay, I got to give it to them, as accurate as they can be. Or, you know, is it something more and we're just not seeing them all?
Do
Or
we
maybe
have
it hasn't
that as a
happened yet.
metric? Do we have that as a metric? Like, how many projections have they made?
That's what I'm saying. Like, what's the ratio
Yeah.
to?
I didn't find anything that said they're only 3, 5%, 20%.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, that
it's
okay.
got pretty good. I mean, odds when you think about how many episodes they've had and compared to how many predictions
Yeah.
that may have happened. Is it like 1 a season, 2 a season?
That would
You
be
know?
my next question. Yeah.
That's I just looked it up, and there's just, well, according to AI, there's no official ratio, primarily just because the writers claim that they're just educational guesses that they are making versus,
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
actual predictions.
Right, because it's never like it wasn't called COVID-19 or murder hornets.
No.
It was something
Right.
else. You know, Disney buying Fox wasn't actual thing. It was the company that made Itchy and Scratchy that was bought by a bigger conglomerate.
I gotcha.
I do have to say though that I think that there were, you know, shows make predictions without realizing. Before everything happened, you know, back in like 2019, 2020, I was watching this paranormal show. It just happened to be on my PVR, and these guys were investigating the zombie virus.
No.
And I thought, oh, well, that's cool, whatever. I'm just watching it, you know. Anyway, they shut down because everybody shut down, and they never completed that segment. So instead of starting over because of their findings, they incorporated it in. And I actually kept the clips of those recordings
Nice.
because the similarity of the zombie virus and the one that came in, being, you know, CV-19, which was based, they said it's based on the common cold.
Mhm.
So there's no cure for the common cold, apparently. And
There's gotta
based, I know, right? But you can't get a for a common cold, right?
be.
But everything that they had found was exactly what we went through. And they started off because it was the zombie thing. Like this was a show they were doing on the zombie virus. And it goes, and when we stopped and we looked at the similarities, we was like, wait a minute, what are the chances of? So, you know, maybe that's what needs to be looked at is the zombie one. Does it make you zombies? Oh,
Well, a lot of folks say that.
but it was
know,
weird. That's all I'm
you know.
saying. Is it's like it was an event that people could have said, well, these guys predicted this, and
Yeah.
is the point I'm trying to make.
Right.
Okay, I get you.
100%, I get that. Yeah.
I don't
All right.
know. I was impressed. It doesn't take my whole life, but I
Thanks
was
for bringing.
impressed. Yeah.
That is impressive, actually.
Well, we're getting close to the end, so I'd love to hear everybody's final thoughts. I'll start. You know, with always just having questions upon questions. The one thing with any show, not just The Simpsons, they're gonna eventually get something right in what they're writing into it. Is it gonna be exactly as it was predicted on the show? More than likely not. I mean, there is coincidence in some extent, but I feel it's just like the satire genre, because there's a guy on TikTok that I follow that he predicted that RFK Jr. would say Tylenol is linked to autism.
Mm.
And he had done it before the guy even said it.
Mm.
So to me, it's just predictable predictions, not something that people have tapped into.
Right.
And I could be wrong.
Educational guesses, as the writers say.
Right.
Yeah.
But Eric, your thoughts?
No, I mean, I totally agree, because I think a lot of these things that have happened, these weren't like so extraordinary. Like, yes, they were world changing, but they weren't to the extent of like, wow, this just flipped the script and now we're in a whole new realm because of it. Like Trump becoming president, that was talked about way before that episode was made. He had claimed he was going to do that. 9/11, I mean, let's face it. I know it wasn't 9/11 in the show, but it's only a matter of time before terrorists hit New York again. That has happened multiple times over the years. On top of that, like going along with what you said, Justin, there are 791 episodes so far of The Simpsons. So when you consider that many episodes and the amount of content that they've been writing because of it, 30 minutes times 791, you are bound to get a few things right here and there. And when you consider like the things that we know have come true versus the amount of episodes, it is very small, but they are very prominent. They speak loudly because there's so many people who are tuned into it, and they're researching it. They want to know more, and it's becoming this collective conscience where yes, things are happening. And we talk about the Slender Man. That's something else that shouldn't exist, and yet we know of people who have claimed to have witnessed him. 2 girls try to commit a murder because of it, which is wild, right? And we see this happening more and more, especially with the collective conscience. So personally, no, I don't think that these are that there's some weird woo-woo happening here and they're predicting the future. I think that these are individuals who happen to be studying the world culture, and they're making quote unquote educational guesses and have been successful a few times.
Michelle?
I firmly believe in the power of manifestation. I do. I think this world is a wondrous place. I think that there are things that we will never have the answers to. We can make a lot of educational guesses. You just look around you. Things are hidden in plain sight. I've often gotten messages, from the other side. It's along the lines of all the world's a stage. So, I'm sure a lot of it, without a doubt, is theatrics. But I know there's a lot of wonderment out there as well. And I know that we ourselves are very powerful beings. And when you factor in, like Eric said, Slender Man, like this good old Santa, many, many thought forms have easily come to life. Just, I'll use an example. I'm looking for something. I want to buy something very specific because I like antiques. It materializes. It shows up. It's just like, there it is right there. I'm just like, oh, cool. Okay. So next, I just can never seem to get the $1 million, but yeah, I know. If it's something menial, it comes very easily. But the fact is, it's the manifestation. I think, we can take anything out of any situation and run with it. You can be logical, or you can just look at it through wonderment and say, yeah, it's all pretty incredible, because it just makes the world that much more special.
Tim?
I would, I kind of side with what Eric says, and at the same time, I kind of side with what Michelle says. And Justin, to a degree, I like everyone's answers.
But which percentage do you agree with more, though? No.
There we go. Metrics. I like it. Now, one thing Michelle just said about this, I say I want to find antiques. We do have these little devices listening to us all the time. And we've all experienced that, where we say something either out loud. It's like, darn, I wish I had this special sponge, as a stupid example. And
I'm always looking
suddenly everything's in your feeds are populated with sponge-related stuff. It's kind of, advertising. Anyway, super advertising, really. But is it wish fulfillment? Possibly. Is it coincidence? Educational guessing? I would tend to lean more toward that, only because of my own experience as a writer.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, I wouldn't ever throw out any possibility, because I have said for a very long time, and Eric can back me up on this, anything is possible.
Mm-hmm.
Are things probable? That's where you skim the line. But I feel anything is possible. So we leave it up to you guys. Is The Simpsons predicting, or are we following its script? Can we trust media that jokes about real events years before they happen? We would love for you to comment, or email us, however you like to communicate. We would love to hear from you. Tim, Michelle, thank you guys for being on ParaTruth. And we'll give you guys the mic on where they can find you guys.
Michelle?
Tomorrow night and Thursday night, you can find me on the Outer Realm at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And Tuesday afternoons from 2 to 3:30, you can find me on Beyond the Outer Realm. And so probably the only spots, unless you catch me on ParaTruth 2 Sundays from now.
Good stuff. I'm Tim Sedano. I'm on, as you can see, it only says so on my name tag right there. I'm the host of Paranormal Inside, Thursdays, 12 noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, and most times live. I've had to phone in a few repeats lately because I've had some family stuff happen. But in fact, it's going to happen this week, Michelle. I'll just let you know. But
life gets in the way sometimes. I mean,
but yeah, that's where you can find me. Paranormal Insight on Instagram, paranormal.insight on YouTube, paranormal_insight. Just to make it confusing for you. Thanks for having me on, by the way.
yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for joining us.
Even though you were late.
So sorry, dude.
Docking your pay for that one.
Yeah, I deserve it.
Right for the manager and everything.
Oh, man.
All right, folks. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Wherever you listen, make sure you comment, join the discussion on social media, or again through email. This has been a pre-recorded show on 107.7 FM New Orleans, 105.3 FM on the Gulf Coast, and United Public Radio Network. Until next week, where you'll find us same time, same channel. My name's Justin.
And I'm Eric. Peace.